Because, it is so sad that many of us carry these baggages and these burdens that are so heavy, and we feel like we're doing God a favor by carrying this. God don't need our help. You understand? He comes to set us free. You understand? And as soon as we say, okay, Lord, I give it to you, it's not easy to give God, because the enemy will not allow you to just hand it over. So
remember, life is a journey, and whether you walk that journey alone or with someone, we all experience unexpected roadblocks and failures along the way. It's not what you do when you fall, it's what you do when you get up. So no matter what life throws at you, always remember, still I rise. Still I rise. Hello and welcome to this week's show. I hope you all are having a blessed Sunday evening. On this week's show, our next guest is here to share her story on how church hurt led her to walk away from her faith. She's also here with a message for a broken woman. Please help me welcome my next guest, Veroni Willis. Hi, woman of God. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
How is the land of wood and water treating you today?
Oh my God, it's amazing. The sun, it's amazing. The wind is blowing, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. But, I lost a friend this morning, so.
Wow, my condolence to you. I'm truly sorry,
Yes.
But with God, He will, give you the strength you need to carry on. I'm really sorry for that loss. I know what it feels like. And I'm my condolence to you and her family or his family,
Yes. Sure. Young woman. Yes.
Okay. That's a news I wasn't expected. But who is Veroni?
Okay, Veroni Willis. Let me give you a version that I have known and come to believe. Self-recognition is a process to recognize who you are and to accept who you are in God. And one of the most, I would say, when you know who you are in God, that's when your true identity begins. So I can recognize who I am in Christ now. As a young woman, full of I'm a vibrant woman with morals, principles, and standards, not leaving out the law of God. Even though I've strayed from the presence of God, knowing who I am and what I stand for always brought me back. So that's basically who I am.
Okay, you mentioned that you walked away from your faith. What was going on in that moment of time in your life why you decided to walk away?
Okay, so I got baptized when I was 15 years old. And after being baptized, my faith, grew stronger. However, when I was 19 years old, I came in contact with God, and that's when my ministry began at the age of 19. Now, being in church and known as a church girl, there are certain expectations and as to what to do, how to dress, how to what to say, and all of that. And then I was being led to minister on the praise and worship team at the age of 19, and I was it was all about God for me at that time. It was and I remember a young woman at the time, she was also on the praise and worship team, and she said to me, we had a meeting, and a group meeting, and she said in the meeting that every time I sang, she wanted to choke me. Yes, she said every time I open my mouth to sing, she wanted to choke me. As a young woman, I didn't know about battle All I knew, all I knew was to, like, cry away, run away. I didn't know how to stand and fight. I didn't know what testing was all about. It was all about, for me, it was all about, loving God. And I thought that by loving God, you won't have any temptation or trials nor tribulation, So when that phase came, I didn't knew how to react. So what I did was, I was like, I spent away from church. I felt embarrassed. I didn't know, as I said, I didn't know how to react to it. So I said to myself, boy, if as a church people cheat me, you understand, if this is what God is all about, then forget church people and then forget everything that, comes with God, because this is foolishness. And then I rebelled. I walked away from the presence of God, but that wasn't it.
You mentioned, sorry to cut you, you mentioned that, you didn't have a real foundation, basically, is what it is. You had religion because as a young girl, a teenager growing up, you're pressured to look a certain way, act a certain way, play a part.
Right.
And that is not
Right.
who Christ is, If you're just going to give us religion has no power. It cannot do anything, So and I think that's what happened to you. If you had had the truth that you know now, I think you would have made a different choice, So how do you feel about the church that really don't know how to, give people the true gospel and not just religion, a lifestyle?
Okay. For many, oh Lord. For many Christians or leaders, I think they themselves too, most of them, they too are religious. You understand? They too don't have this relationship with God. So therefore, they cannot lead in such an effective way to keep young people within Christ. They cannot teach because I don't know. I feel like they weren't sent. Some of them aren't sent, and some were sent. It is so unfortunate that for we young people, when we go into Christendom, when we go and choose so we're going to choose this church to go, the thing is, we aren't aware, or we don't know which is the sheep and who are the wolves as young Christians. You understand? Because we will follow religious people who are used to customs. You understand? Oh, they're used to, oh, my grandmother used to preach like this, my grandmother used to dress like this, my grandmother used to talk like this, so I think that this is the way it is supposed to go. It all comes down to relationship, knowing who God is, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he requires of you. So when you know God, you know what comes with it. So you're more firm, you're more rooted. And I think that's what these churches are lacking. They're not rooted, and they're not grounded, and they're not they don't have a relationship with the Most High God. I don't think so.
Yeah, how can one build a relationship with Christ? What advice would you give to them? Because I know a lot of people is really searching for, Christ and just a way out, but they're misled. How can they really develop that personal relationship with Christ?
Oh Lord. First and foremost, oh God, I'm sorry, but first and foremost, oh well, I'm sorry, but let me tell you this, and this is coming from a place of sincerity. To know God, first listen, God chooses us. That's one. He chooses us, and it's so unfortunate that we didn't choose him. It's an invitation. So, like, for example, you and I were ministers who are ordained or sent by God. It's like we walk with this invitation to people, to non-believers, and we're like, listen, I know of someone who can do beyond and exceedingly in your life. And if you don't have him, then you're missing something. And that invitation is given. And it's up to you to receive that invitation. Now, what do I do when I receive that invitation and I decide that I'm going to answer this call? You got to surrender. You got to surrender. And you got to know that this is not about me anymore. So if you're searching to find yourself in God, you got to say, listen, this is not about me. This is not about me anymore. There is no I anymore, but it's through him. Everything is going to be done. So first and foremost, you gotta deny yourself. That's one. Whatever I used to do, whatever I've been through, whatever hurt, whatever pain, whatever trials, whatever tribulation, whatever grudges, anything that I had, it is no longer mine, but it's for the Lord. And so you deny yourself. So you're no longer living an old life. You become a new creature. So first thing you got to do is deny yourself. When you want to really know who God is, you got to deny yourself. Not about me anymore. Because I try to fix it and I can't fix it. Nothing I do, it don't make no sense. So this time, or when you choose to accept him and get closer to him, is to first deny yourself and surrender.
You know, woman of God, that is so true, you know, and I can relate to that, you know, because I to myself, I was raised in the church, you know, Sunday school and all that kind of stuff. It was more of a lifestyle, religion, you know, it was more so religion. I do anything I wanted to do Monday to Saturday, but on Sunday, you know, we're going to play that part, you know, and It doesn't make any sense, you know, and that's what majority of Christians has inherited in this time. So they really don't know that, you know, this is not the right true religion. This is not how it works. You know, You have to truly forget about you. Yeah, that's a very hard thing to do because you're you and this is all you've known. And how do you forget about yourself? How do you, you know, you become this humble person before God and allow him to use you and just know that, you know what, this life doesn't matter to me. This is no longer my life. It's up to God. A lot of people are not able to get to that point. How did you manage to get to that point of surrendering fully to understand, listen, this ain't about me. And even though I know I'm a human being and I have desires, how do I, you know, forget about my desires to just live for Christ fully?
Wow. It's a decision. It is, and you can't you can't do it by yourself. You can't do this by yourself. Let me get wrong. You can't do it by yourself. It is impossible. Because no matter how you feel like, oh, these desires are God, trust me, you better think again because it is coming. Temptation is coming. So it's not like, oh, I totally forget about my desires. It's not in a sense. It's that like whatever you're doing now, it's like you're allowing God. So you're gonna make moves. Yes, you're still gonna have things that you really want and true. But this time it's different because you're not doing it by yourself. Now, how I overcome that? Oh Lord, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Oh, child, it wasn't easy because let me tell you, nothing sweet like when you want to do things your own way. And as I said before, that I think it's because God chose me. That's honestly, it is not me. I think it's definitely the love that he has shown me, the mercy, the grace, the favor that has pulled me. I don't think it has nothing to because when God was calling me, I was like, I used to rebel. I was like, God, why you want me to serve you amongst them wicked people? Not seeing that I too was drawing further and further away from God. You understand? I was like, God, but try this already and it never worked. And Father God, you know, it's easy to rebel than to surrender. You understand? Because nobody really likes the truth. Nobody really likes to walk in the light. You understand? Because it's going to expose a lot of things and things that you probably don't even like yourself. So I was afraid to surrender because I felt like I had doubts. And even though I'm a Christian, I had doubts. I was like, God, are you sure this gonna work? Are you sure you're calling me, God? Am I supposed to surrender? How am I supposed to give you everything? I mean, this is, but then when you start to have a relationship with him, and the relationship begins when you start to tell God, because remember, he knows everything about you. He knows. It is just there's something about confession that gets him. I don't know what happened when you confess, but it's like God is like, yes, this is what I want to hear.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
it.
mean? I don't know, but something happens when you confess. It's like you be praying, and but something happens when you get naked.
Truth.
You
When you get
understand?
raw with
Something
the truth.
happens. Yes, something happens when you be vulnerable. When you say, Lord, all right, this is who I am. This is what I'm accustomed to. And when I began to say, listen, this is who I am, Lord. Sometimes I feel condemned. I condemn my own self. Because remember, the closer you get to God, is the more you're gonna feel condemned. God, this is a holy God. Angels bow before him. Heaven and earth adore him. I mean, who am I? So you're gonna feel when you're getting closer to God, the more you get closer to God, the more you're gonna be like, why you choose me? Look at me, because he's exposing, because he wants you to be like him. You understand? He wants you to be in his likeness. It is not, you understand? So the more you get closer to him, this is not for us to shun away when we're being exposed. This is for us to know that he wants us to be like him. You understand? So how I got there was through fasting. You gotta fast. Oh yes,
Amen.
you gotta fast.
Amen.
The flesh must die. And the flesh, let me tell you something. The flesh, let me tell you something about the flesh. The flesh rise up. When the first flesh ready, I say, what you do? What you trying to do? You're trying to make the spiritual man stronger. That's what you're trying to do, all this back. So there's gonna be a lot of attack. But let me tell you this, for sure. When you get down in prayer and fasting, that's what kills the flesh and the desire. Trust me, because I remember when I went back to Christ, I had so much baggage and luggages, and God forbid, but I had some demonic spirits, because I felt like I struggled with Jezebel's spirit. I did, but because I like to rule, because I feel like if I be submissive, if I try to do this way, then this is gonna happen. But if I feel like if I'm in power, right, if I have this power, this authority, then nobody can hurt me. And it was a defense force, and that's when I allowed that spirit to rule my life. Because when I was humble, and everybody walked on me, especially I kept that incident that happened at church. I was like, I'm not gonna let
church hurt, church hurt.
Yes, right. So that's when the spirit of Jezebel started to knock, like, listen, girl, you can't make them people that walk by you no more. You gotta stand up. So when the Jezebel spirit started to operate, oh Lord, I felt empowered, but I was going down my soul. I was losing my soul. You understand? And I had to be delivered. And that's when deliverance came, when I said, like, I don't want you anymore. And this is a key thing that we have to let go. We have to, when we identify these spirits, because we are the one who invited them in. We are the same one who can tell them it's time to go, with the power and standing in the power and authority of Jesus Christ. Because we can't do it by ourselves. If we say, oh, go, like, what? We ain't got no power. We ain't got no authority. But when we stand in the authority of Jesus Christ, because he has our back. So when we allow these spirits, when we say, okay, this is it, I'm going to let it go, then God take it away from us.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a person who has walked away from Christ but is afraid out of shame to come back? You know, a lot of people, you know, they walk away from Christ and they don't realize that they made a mistake, but they rather stay in the world because if they come back, the judgment will begin in their lives. What advice would you give to them?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Wow. I too face that. My advice to you. And let me tell you something. I don't know who you are out there, but I know you're lost without him. That feeling of emptiness, that alone must tell you that you're missing something. Yes, I know it's been a long time out there, but look at it this way. What am I going to gain? What benefits are here for me to gain in this world? Yes, people is going to condemn me. Oh, for heaven's sake, people still condemning you. Even though people still judging you. Who she think she is? People, but let me tell you something, what really, it all come back to the relationship with God. Knowing who you are and knowing what God requires of you. That will keep you going. I'm telling you, because when I came back, you know, even myself, and one of the things is, even yourself will judge you, because that's one of the craziest thing that will happen when you start judging yourself before the world start even judge you. When you decide to listen, because I remember when I decided to listen, I'm gonna go go back to Christ. I started to judge myself before even anyone knew that I was back. You understand? I was like, but look at you, what you're trying to do. But I know this is the enemy though. Look at you, what you're trying to do. You're gonna minister to people. Look how much things that you did in the past. You think people really gonna listen to you? All of those start, you know, attacking you first before you even start hearing it from anybody. But as I said, what really kept me rooted and grounded is that knowing that, listen, this has to be it. Because I rather stay, it's a make-up mind. I say I rather stay in God, die in God, than stay out there and that, because there's nothing there. Because even though the enemy wrap you up and tie you up and give you presents and baskets and all those roses and all of that, at the end of the day, my soul is heading somewhere to that I don't think I want to go there. So standing on the promises of God, that's what really got me through, and knowing that I'm never really truly happy there. Backsliders, I know that you're not truly happy out there. I know you're empty, you're dry, you're mourning, you're longing for. As the deer panted for the water, so your soul is longing after God. It's just that you're afraid to make that step. This is not about you, it is about God and what he desires for your life. His promises are true. And let me tell you, the peace that he gives, all of that baggages that you're carrying, he wants you to lay it down at his feet, He wants to give you peace and rest. Because, you know, it is so sad that many of us carry these baggages and these burdens that are so heavy, you know, and we feel like we're doing God a favor by carrying this. God don't need our help. You understand? He comes to set us free. You understand? And as soon as we say, okay, Lord, I give it to you. It's not easy to give God, you know, because the enemy will not allow you to just hand it over. So he wants you to keep them. You think the enemy is going to go, oh, yeah, give it to him. No, there's going to be a lot of challenges. But I'm telling you, gonna be. But through prayer and supplication and a made up mind, and in that time, I learned how to fight. You got to war. So don't think me, don't see me up here cute and listen. I know how to fight spiritually, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in high places. I know when to pull them down, because I have somewhere to go, and I'm gonna make it in Jesus' name. Yes. You got to
Amen.
be determined. You got to be determined. You got to be determined, and you got to know how to fight. And when the then enemy reminds you of your past, you got to remind him, but listen, I wasn't happy in the first place. So what you're trying to say? He will remind you, like he's trying to remind you that, listen, this was good. No, it wasn't good. It was a delusion. It wasn't real. Because without God, I'm really nothing. You understand? Because he likes to remind us. So what I do when the enemy reminds me of things of the past and like, oh, this was good, I remind him and I say, well, that wasn't real. It was a deception. It was an illusion because inside was empty. It was eating out. Who am I? I was like a soulless being. I didn't have no soul. He was taking it away from me. The enemy wants to rip our soul from out of us. He wants to, and he will do anything. And you will feel empty. And that's when you know your soul is really drained, when you feel that emptiness, and only Jesus Christ can fill that void.
Amen to that. You said, I want to piggyback on what you said about giving it to Jesus is not easy. It's a fight. The devil is not going to just let you hand it over to God like that. And I've experienced that, and I know what it can be to be wanting to let go of something, but you're so accustomed to wanting to take care of everything on your own. Let me tell you, friends, how I got to that point was I just got really tired, because every time I would say, okay, I'm going to give it to God, 10 minutes later, the next day, the next week, it comes back up. And I'm like, how is it, God, how you give something to you? I don't understand. And then I had to learn one day by having a revelation by myself. God just allowed me to process it. And it was like, I'm just tired. I don't care what happens. I really don't care what happens. This is not mine anymore. So if God says he can take care of it, okay, whatever you're telling me, devil, God says he can take care of it. And let me tell you, when I got to that point and that realization, I just let go of everything. I really don't care. God says to me, he's going to provide for me. He says to me, he's going to give me rest. He says to me, he's going to give me strength. He says, if I ask him for anything in Jesus Christ's name, he's going to give it to me. So these are the words I use with God and against the devil. I said, God, you said you can do anything if I ask you. So I'm asking you, help me to learn to let it go. Mm-hmm. And that's what I have done. I've just learned to let it go by not caring about it, because it's not my burdens to carry. I cannot carry. If you carry the burden on your own, you're going to be frustrated and tired and weak and fatigued. And that's when the devil is able to attack you, because you're now weary, and the joy of the Lord is your strength, and you need the strength to carry on to fight the battle. So if you don't have any joy, you can't fight the battle that you're fighting. So the devil is going to always be up on you. So you're going to have to learn fasting is important. You're going to have to learn that, denying your flesh is important. You're going to have to learn these things, because if you're trying to fight on your own and not allowing God to bring you through that process, you're just going to end up in a rabbit hole, and you're not going to be able to win anything. So I want you all to understand it's all about just letting it go by just, listen to what God told you. Give it to me, son. Give it to me, my daughter. I'll give you rest. I'll take care of it. It's not your battle to fight.
Yes. It's a wrestle. It is a wrestle. If you decide that you're going to do it on your own, as you said, it was just being tired. I think that too contributed to my repentance, totally surrendering. I was just tired. I wanted a change, and I needed it bad. I was tired. I was tired of being hurt. I was tired of being bruised. I was tired of being neglected. I was tired of being rejected. I was just tired. I was just tired of wearing a mask every day. It was just tiring. It was tired. I was tired. I was weary. I was unhappy. And let me tell you something. Fake. A lot of women, young women out there, I can tell you this. You wear a mask every day, and you can't tell of one real moment. Like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, where you definitely not smiling. You're laughing, but you're in a world. It's like you're out of space. You don't even know what you're laughing for. It's like there's no reason to smile. But it's like, like society always have this tendency to, even when you're not happy, put on a smile anyway. That's a lie. God, hell no. No, that's a lie. I want to be truly happy. So, you know, you put on your makeup, you go out there, you look nice, and you know, you're out there. People look at you, you're confused. It's like they're saying you're confusing the enemy. No, you're confusing yourself. You're not confusing the enemy. You're confused because you don't know, you don't even know if you're happy or you're truly sad. Because you're putting on this mask. But let me tell you something, when you come in the presence of God and God ready to, like, God will give you this peace. Trust me, that laugh. I don't know. You're walking, you're laughing. Nobody not give you a joke. You walk, you laugh. Because when you think of the goodness of Jesus, like you're thinking of all the things that could have happened, and if you still could have, if you hold on to what you were afraid to let go of, what could have happened, and when you start thinking about that and how graceful He had been, it's not peace, that everything is gonna be all right. And truly, it is not just saying that everything, it's truly from a place where you know everything is that peace that He gives. You're driving, you're laughing, you're like, yeah, my soul is right with God. It is that peace that comes with it. So the mask that you're wearing, beautiful girls, that has been hurt, rejected, as I've been there, rejected. Oh God, I've been through so much rejection. Like it's like rejection mark, like put from afar. Like people just pick that reject. I don't know why. I don't want you. And when you feel like you're not wanted, you know, that can really make you feel worthless. You know, a lot of women suffer with depression because they feel like they're not worth it. You understand? They don't belong. Well, let me tell you something. When you come in the presence of God, there's always work for you to do. He makes you feel wanted because you're needed. And when He starts to reveal the things that He requires of you, then you're like, oh yes, this can be of a help to somebody else, because you know that all the things that you've been through, it wasn't because of you. It was because you had to help somebody out there, to bring somebody, to pull somebody out. Then when they see you, they're like, oh, if that person overcome through Christ, I can do it through Christ. So we are all a living testimony. There is purpose in God. Trust me.
You know, I think you said it all. The Holy Spirit is ahead of us, you know, because I wanted to, you know, ask you, what advice would you give to broken women who feels like there's no way out? You know, because you yourself mentioned that you were broken. What did that look like for you, in your brokenness? And how did you overcome that?
Oh my God. Wow.
Part 2 of Veroni's story will be airing on Wednesday, the 23rd of March at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not forget to wait for what's coming up next week, Sunday. Until then, stay blessed. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that you can stay in tune with what God is doing in the earth. I thank you all for your support. May God bless. Repent and change, and then God will accept you. That's not how it is. And that builds a barrier.
It does. And that is, yes, that is 100%. Like, what I've noticed in myself is that anyone looking out might look at me and say, oh, Jocelyn's just changing for like someone else or God or whatever. It honestly, it gives me great pleasure to do so. And I don't even feel like I'm being told. It's like, it's just this natural reaction when you feel so much love. It's like, let me clean up my act. And I say that kind of generally. I don't even think I was like getting so out of control or whatever, but like, I just, even in terms of like looking around my house and seeing things that I had that like didn't glorify God, and that kind of I got kind of all into the New Age world for a while, because I've always been like a seeker. Even though I stopped going to church, I was still seeking answers and seeking understanding and why we're all here and everything. And so I got kind of swept up in that. So I had different stuff around my house, and it was just like freeing, because it was like, I don't need any of this stuff. I don't need to like do any of these little games or little things to try to feel better. Like, I have the peace of God and I have the love of God, and it just, there's so much freedom in that. And then there's this, you just naturally want to live in a different way. Like, I don't feel forced. I don't feel like someone's, oh, I better do this or else I'm going to get in trouble. It's not that at all. And I think people like